Son-in-law seduces mother-in-law by all means. What would you do if the man your daughter married began to look at you, not like a mother-in-law, but like a woman he desired? What happens when temptation knocks on a door you never thought would open? This is not just a story of betrayal. It is a story of broken trust, inner battles, and the long road to healing. If you are new here, please subscribe to Tales by Arma, like, and share this video with someone who loves deep, emotional stories. Now, let's dive into how it all started. Adaora had lived alone for over 10 years in the calm village of Obinigu. Widowed at 38, she had raised her only daughter, Nneka, with quiet strength and dignity. Life had been hard at times, but Adaora always found a way to smile, whether it was through prayer, farming, or teaching little children how to read under the mango tree beside her house. At 49, Adaora was still beautiful in a gentle, dignified way. Her skin was smooth and light brown, her voice calm like water, and her eyes often filled with thought. She was known for her discipline, her clean home, and her deep love for her daughter. Nneka had grown into a lovely young woman, smart, strong, and full of laughter. When she returned home from the city and said she had found someone she wanted to marry, Adaora was filled with joy. She had waited for this moment, to see her daughter settled, happy, and safe in the arms of a man who would cherish her. His name was Uche. He walked into Adaora's compound that sunny Saturday morning, holding Nneka's hand, with a box of gifts and a charming smile that could melt granite. He was tall, fair-skinned, and dressed in clean, simple clothes. His voice was soft, respectful. His eyes, a little too sharp. "I've heard so much about you, Mama," Uche said with a bow. Adaora smiled and welcomed him warmly. Everything felt perfect. The couple had decided to spend 3 months with Adaora in the village before traveling abroad, where Uche had gotten a job. Adaora was happy. She had prayed for this, a good man, a new beginning for Nneka, and maybe a little help on the farm while they stayed. She didn't know what she had welcomed into her home. The first few days were filled with laughter. Nneka cooked while Adaora and Uche worked on planting vegetables behind the house. They ate together under the neem tree and told stories by lantern light. But sometimes, when Nneka wasn't looking, Adaora would feel Uche's eyes on her. Too long. Too focused. As if he was reading something more than her words. She ignored it at first. Maybe he just admired her for raising such a good daughter. Maybe he was just respectful. But the feeling grew like a stone in her chest. One morning, Adaora was pounding yam in the backyard kitchen when Uche walked in shirtless, holding a bowl of water. "Let me help you," he said. Before she could speak, he took the pestle from her hands. Their fingers touched. It felt deliberate. His eyes locked on hers. Adaora quickly stepped back, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "You should rest," she said. "Go and eat breakfast." But Uche smiled slowly. "You're very strong, Mama," he said. "Most women your age look old and tired. But you glow." She didn't reply. She turned and walked away, pretending not to hear the last part. But her heart beat faster. That night, Adaora sat alone on her mat, eyes open in the darkness. She felt something she had not felt in years, confusion, guilt, and something dangerous. She tried to pray but found herself distracted. She remembered Uche's stare, his scent, the way his lips moved when he spoke. "Stop this," she whispered to herself. "You are his mother-in-law. This is wrong." The next day, she decided to stay distant. She avoided Uche's help. She spent more time in the village church. But Uche became more persistent. He would appear at her door just as she was dressing. He would bring her flowers from the bush, saying they reminded him of her beauty. Once, he brushed her hair gently when he saw her struggling with her braid. "Let me help you, Mama," he said, fingers running too softly through her hair. Adaora trembled. She pulled away. "Stop calling me that," she whispered. He chuckled. "What should I call you then?" "Adaora?" She said nothing. Nneka noticed none of it. She was busy planning their move abroad, filling forms, and collecting documents from the village council. She often left early and returned late, trusting that her husband and mother were getting along well. "You and Uche seem close," she smiled once. Thank God he's not like those men that hate their in-laws. Aurora forced a smile. Her heart burned with shame. Then came the night that changed everything. A heavy rain had started in the evening. The roof leaked slightly, so Aurora went to the living room to place a bowl under the dripping water. She didn't know Uche was there, sitting in the dark. "Can't sleep?" he asked. She jumped. "You scared me," she said, backing toward the doorway. He stood. Walked toward her slowly. "I couldn't sleep either," he said. "I've been thinking about you. About how beautiful you are. How your presence fills the house." Aurora froze. "Uche, stop." He stepped closer. "Tell me you don't feel it too." Aurora stepped back until her back hit the wall. "Uche, I am your wife's mother," she said, voice trembling. "But you are also a woman." And then, he kissed her. Aurora shoved him and ran into her room, locking the door. She sat on the floor, her chest heaving. Tears poured from her eyes. How had this happened? What had she done wrong? The days that followed were heavy with silence. Aurora couldn't meet Uche's eyes. Uche behaved as if nothing had happened. Nneka remained unaware. Aurora tried to avoid them both, pretending to be ill, spending long hours in the church compound. But inside, she was drowning. Uche began to slip notes under her door. "You felt it. I know you did. Don't run from it. I will wait." Aurora burned them. But her body betrayed her. At night, she remembered his hands, his eyes, his lips. She hated herself for it. One morning, Aurora packed a small bag and went to see her childhood friend, Mama Obinna. She wept as she spoke. "I can't tell Nneka. It will destroy her. But I can't stay here either." Mama Obinna held her and said, "Come live with me. Let her finish her documents and go. Then return." Aurora agreed. That night, she left quietly. Uche searched for her the next day. "She went to see her cousin," Nneka said. "She'll be back soon." But Aurora didn't return. For 2 whole weeks, Aurora stayed at Mama Obinna's house, cooking quietly, attending morning mass, and barely speaking about what had happened. But even there, Uche haunted her. Her dreams betrayed her. Her mind echoed with words he had whispered. Shame curled around her like a snake. She had done nothing, yet it felt as though her soul had already sinned. She prayed, fasted, confessed, but the guilt stuck. At night, she heard his voice. "You're also a woman." She shook her head, whispering to herself in the dark, "I am not weak. I am not wicked." Then, on the 15th day, while Mama Obinna was at the market, a knock came on the door. Aurora opened it. Uche. He was dressed in white. Simple. Clean. But there was nothing clean about the heat in his eyes. "I came alone," he said. "Please. I just want to talk." She tried to close the door, but he stepped in quickly. "Aurora, Mama, please," he said, raising his hands. "Just listen. I know this sounds mad, but I have never wanted anyone like I want you. Not even Nneka." Adeora's lips parted. "Don't say that. You're her husband." "But it's true. I married her because she reminded me of you. But now that I've seen you, the real you, I can't sleep. I can't think straight. I want to be with you." Aurora backed away, trembling. "You are possessed," she whispered. "No," he said, stepping forward. "I am alive for the first time." Before she could stop him, he knelt before her. "I will leave Nneka. I will go far away with you. Just say the word." Aurora slapped him hard across the face. "Get out." He did not flinch. "I will wait," he said, smiling through the sting. "Even if it takes years." And then he left. When Mama Obinna returned, she found Aurora curled on the floor, hands on her head, crying like a child. "I should have screamed. I should have beaten him," she wept. "You did not invite this," Mama Obinna said. "This is not your shame." But Aurora didn't believe that. Her body, her thoughts, they had already betrayed her daughter. She had crossed a line in her heart. And no one could cross it. That night, Aurora made a decision. She would return home. She would face the danger. Not for Uche, but for Nneka. She needed to protect her daughter, even if it meant standing in fire. The next morning, she packed her bag and returned to her home in Obanagu. When Nneka saw her, she shouted with joy and hugged her tightly. "Mama, you didn't tell me you were coming back today." Adaora forced a smile. Her eyes met Uche's. He was leaning by the doorway, his smile unreadable. "Welcome home, Mama." From that day, Adaora built a wall around herself. She no longer laughed freely. She spent most of her days in the farm, avoiding the house, speaking only when necessary. Uche, on the other hand, acted like nothing was wrong. He played the perfect husband. Helped Nneka. Fetched firewood. Cleaned the compound. Greeted elders. No one suspected him. No one saw the way he brushed past Adaora when Nneka wasn't watching. The way he dropped notes in her basket. The way his fingers grazed hers during evening meals. He had become patient, and Adaora feared that more than anything. One afternoon, as Adaora reached into the cupboard for her Bible, she found a note. "There's no sin in love. It's only wrong if you lie about it. Meet me by the stream. One last time." She tore the note into pieces and burned it. That night, she went to the stream. Not because she wanted him, but because she wanted to end it. When she arrived, he was already there, shirtless, bathing under the moonlight. "I knew you'd come," he said softly. She turned to leave. But then he stepped out of the water. She paused. For one moment too long. He took her hand. "Let me touch you." "No. Just once." And he did. Adaora broke into tears. That night haunted Adaora. They had not slept together. But it had gone far enough to burn her soul. She began to lose weight. She couldn't pray anymore. Every word from Nneka became a wound. "Mama, you don't look well." "I'm fine, my daughter." She wasn't. One Sunday, Adaora went to Father Cyril. She fell on her knees and poured out her heart. "I feel like a Jezebel. I didn't plan it. I didn't even want it. But I let it happen, and now, I don't know who I am anymore." Father Cyril listened in silence. Then he said, "The devil tempts through what we desire, not through what we fear. You must tell your daughter." Adaora shook her head. "It will break her." He looked at her gently. "Then it will also set her free." That night, Adaora sat with her rosary and wrote a letter. She didn't know if she would have the courage to give it to Nneka. But she wrote every detail. She sealed it. She hid it under her pillow. And then she waited for the right moment. But she never gave the letter. Because the truth found another way. One evening, Nneka returned home early. She forgot her file and came back to the house. She opened the door quietly, and saw Uche in the kitchen. He wasn't alone. He was pressing his chest against Adaora, whispering in her ear. She screamed. The pot fell. Adaora jumped away. Uche froze. Nneka stared at both of them. Her face crumbled. "Mama." For hours, no one spoke. Then Nneka packed her bag. She wept as she zipped it. Mama, you let him touch you? It wasn't what you think. He was my husband. And you're my mother." Uche tried to speak. "I loved her before you." "Shut up," she screamed. "You ruined everything." And then, she fainted. Nneka spent 3 days in the hospital. She barely spoke. Adaora stayed by her side, fasting, praying, crying silently. On the third night, Nneka opened her eyes. Adaora held her hand. "I failed you. I didn't want it. I fought it. But I should have told you. Please, forgive me." Nneka looked away. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I don't hate you, Mama. But I don't know if I'll ever trust you again." Uche tried to visit. Nneka refused. He left the village the next day. No one knew where he went. Adaora remained with her daughter. She cooked, cleaned, begged for forgiveness every day. But Nneka remained distant. Then, one morning, Nneka packed her things. "I need space, Mama. I'm going to Abuja. I don't know for how long." Adaora nodded, tears in her eyes. The house was quiet now. Too quiet. Adaora moved from room to room, finding echoes where memories once lived. Nneka's perfume still lingered on her pillow, like a ghost refusing to leave. Each day, Adaora called. Each day, no one picked up. Weeks passed. Her daughter had truly left not just the house, but the bond they once had. The once unbreakable connection between mother and daughter was now frayed, dangling by silence. Adaora went to Mass daily. Some days, she cried on the altar before the service began. Other days, she sat outside, too ashamed to enter. Even Mama Obinna, her once constant companion, had grown quiet. "These things happen," she said one day. "But it will take time for wounds like this to heal." One Sunday evening, Adaora stumbled upon the letter she had written months ago, the one she never gave Nneka. She opened it. And read it again, slowly, crying over every line. She placed it in a new envelope. This time, she added a photo, one from when Nneka was a child, sitting on her lap, laughing as she held her with both arms. The next morning, she mailed the letter to Nneka's office address in Abuja. Nneka had built a wall around her emotions. She focused on work. Stayed in a friend's guest room. Told no one what had happened. But the silence within her wasn't peace. It was a dull, constant ache. Some nights, she dreamed about her mother calling her name. Some mornings, she woke up crying. When the envelope arrived at her office, she didn't open it right away. She placed it in her drawer. 3 days passed. Then one night, alone, she tore it open. Her mother's handwriting trembled across the page. "I loved you first. I love you still. I failed, yes. But never doubt that you are the one I wake up praying for. I would burn 1,000 times if it meant you would never feel this pain. Forgive me not because I deserve it, but because I am still your mother." Tears spilled onto the paper. She stared at the photo. And for the first time in months, she wept without hate. The next morning, Adaora's phone rang. She was washing bitter leaf in the back of the house when she heard it buzz. She wiped her hands and picked up. "Nneka." Her voice broke. Silence. Then her daughter replied softly, "I'm not ready to come home, but I wanted to hear your voice." Adaora sank to the ground, clutching the phone to her chest. "You don't need to come. Just, don't stop calling." "I won't." Months later, news came from Enugu. A family friend called Adaora. "Have you heard about Uche?" She hadn't. He was arrested for attempting to defraud a church woman he met in Abakpa. Claimed he was a prophet. The woman lost 2 million naira. Adaora sighed. She wasn't surprised. Uche was like smoke, charming, mysterious, but impossible to hold without being burned. She closed her eyes and said a quiet prayer. "God, may he find the light before it's too late." She never told Nneka. By the end of that year, people in Obenagu village had moved on to other gossips. The whispers around Adaora faded. She walked to church with dignity again. Farmed quietly. Spoke only when needed. Some said she had gone mad. Others said she was a woman of God. She didn't mind. She had faced shame and survived it. She had lost her daughter and begun the long journey of earning her back. One quiet December morning, Adaora heard a knock on the door. She opened it. Nneka. Standing there, holding a small travel bag. Her face had softened. Her eyes were tired, but peaceful. "I came for Christmas," she said. Adaora stared for a long moment. Then opened her arms. Nneka walked into them. They both cried. No more words were needed. They spent the next few days together like old times. Cooking. Peeling cassava. Laughing softly at old stories. There was still pain, a scar that would never fully fade, but there was also a new kind of bond. A broken vase put back together. A home rebuilt with humility. One evening, under the stars, Nneka asked quietly, "Did you ever fall for him?" Adaora looked up. She didn't lie. "For a moment, I thought I did. But it wasn't love. It was loneliness, confusion, and desire. Things that don't last. Things that destroy." Nneka nodded. "I forgive you, Mama." Adaora took her hand. And for the first time in a long while, they prayed together. And so, the story ends not with perfection, but with truth. A son-in-law who chased forbidden fire. A mother-in-law who broke under desire. A daughter whose heart shattered and slowly healed. In the ashes of betrayal, forgiveness bloomed. Some scars we carry forever. But when we choose love, even broken, messy, human love, we give healing a chance. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Tales by Amar. Stories like this deserve to be told, not to shame, but to remind us that no one is beyond redemption. The end.